All right, so here we are at 53. We are still finding all the solutions by factoring, and I wanted to go ahead and do 53 and 54 as their own video because I think they're going to take a little bit more work to actually solve, and I didn't want to cram everything in. But let's go ahead and start off, and you'll recall from the previous few videos, if you've watched them, that we want to get all of our terms on one side and then set the equation equal to 0. So before we do that, let's go ahead and FOIL the left-hand side of this equation out. And you might notice we have x minus 10, x plus 10, that we have conjugates here, right? The only difference between these two sets of parentheses is the sign. And when you have that, you really don't have to FOIL, do the first, outer, inner, last. With conjugates, you can just do the first to the first and the last to the last, and you'll get the same answer, because with conjugates, these two middle terms end up canceling each other out when you go to combine like terms. You don't have to know that. If you went ahead and FOILed this whole thing out, like I said, you'll get to the same answer. Those two middle terms will cancel out, and so no harm, no foul. But remember, on a test, every little second counts. So if you can save yourself, 30 seconds here, 30 seconds there, that eventually adds up to some significant amount of time. So let's go ahead and FLA these out. So we're going to do our first to our first and our last to our last. So x times x, we have x squared, and negative 10 times 10 gives us minus 100, and now equals negative 91. And now let's go ahead and move all of our terms to the left-hand side and set this equation equal to 0 so that we can factor and solve. So if we add 91 to both sides, we end up with x squared equals, and now negative 100 plus 91, oops, not equals. We have negative 100 plus 91 is negative 9, now equals, well, negative 91 plus 91 is 0, isn't it? So now we have all of our terms on the left-hand side. Our equation is set equal to 0, so we can go ahead and factor the left-hand side. So question 1, is there a GCF here? Nope, don't see one. So question number 2, how many terms are there? Well, 1, 2. When you see two terms, hopefully you're thinking, difference of two squares, or some are difference of cubes. But you can see that we have a 2 here, so we're dealing with a square. And 9, hopefully, is looking like a perfect square now. And so we can go ahead and break this up into two separate parentheses. We're working with x, so we split that x up. We know that the square root of 9 is 3, so 3 and 3. And with the difference of perfect squares, we just do plus minus. And so there we have our left-hand side factored. But because we're solving and finding all the solutions, we're not quite finished yet. So just because we factored doesn't mean stop. Go ahead and remember to set each factor now independently equal to 0. So we have x plus 3 equals 0, x minus 3 equals 0. So if we subtract 3 over here, we get x equals negative 3. And if we add 3 here, we get x equals positive 3. And there you have it. We have found the solutions of number 53 by factoring. All right, so again, if you have something like this where you need to first FOIL, go ahead and FOIL or simplify the left-hand side a little bit and then bring over any terms that you have to so that you can have all the terms on one side and your equation set equal to 0.